Hey guys, it's Mike, another King Arthur Legends Rise video. I tried to stay up last night. I thought maybe the update would end a little early. It did not, so I got some sleep and I'm first thing at it this morning, seeing what's going on. So Lagertha is in the game and all the events and so forth have come in. I did go through and collect all my rewards for Hall of Conquerors and stuff like that, so you can see I'm sitting on a lot of stamina up here, but I figure I'll probably hold on to it until I get Lagertha on the account. And that way I have some stuff to help build her if we need to move in that direction. So first of all, let's take a peek at her kit and see what she's doing. So the aesthetic of Lagertha is actually pretty cool. Kind of a woodland elf with a massive hammer. It's like a meat tenderizing spikes on it. I think this is an area in King Arthur where they always knock it out of the park, and I think there's no exception here. I think Lagertha looks awesome. If we take a look at her passive skill 1, we have a novel to read. So at the start of battle, we're going to get a 100% chance to grant each ally Aiden's Apple, which is going to do damage dealt increased by 10%. And then also when attacking, you have a 100% chance to increase the duration of recovery disruption. So running this alongside a Brennan, where each attack has the potential, you can basically negate any heals that are going on that team completely, which would be pretty incredible. Especially, I'm thinking like in arena, up against any Nikas, which may or may not be in the meta at this point, but you could kind of negate any heals at all that she's doing for the entire battle, which is kind of cool. She's also going to grant a 100% chance for both favored allies amplification, which is that vigor increase, and then also on the both favored allies, Aiden's Apple for the rest of the battle. So for everybody, she's going to do Aiden's Apple for 2 turns, but on both favored allies, we're looking at Aiden's Apple for the whole entire battle, which is pretty cool. 100% independent chance to inflict recovery disruption on each enemy for 2 turns right at the beginning of battle. So you don't even need Brennan to put it on there. She's going to do it immediately for 2 turns. And then as soon as Aiden's Apple comes in, you're extending that out, which is pretty good. And then she's going to at least put the Aiden's Apple on herself for the rest of the battle. So every time she attacks, she's going to be extending that. But if there's other bull favor allies on the team, they're also going to be extending that as well. So that's going to be, it's kind of an interesting dynamic. Really work really well for Audrey, the Ice Bear. If you're still struggling in that space, she'd be a fantastic champion to keep that up. Morgan puts it on, she could put it on, and then you extend it out over time. I'll probably get another bull favorite ally in there just to make sure that it doesn't come off so you can get through Audrey. And then last but not least, we got a 100% independent chance to inflict damage taken increase 2 on each enemy for 1 turn. It cannot be resisted. So this is a pretty good thing to go through at the start of battle. One thing to keep in mind here is this is her entire maxed out kit. So some of these things might unlock as we move up in chivalries, but this is everything she has to bring to the table. As we move over to her passive 2, when using skill 3, 100% chance to grant each ally crit rate increase for 2 turns, 100% chance to grant each both favored ally crit damage increase for 2 turns, and each both favored ally amplification for 2 turns, again with that bigger increase. I'd be curious if these amplifications can stack, because you're putting 100% chance here on her passive on the A1, and then coming over to the A2 when she runs, or excuse me, her passive 2, when she runs the skill 3, she's going to add amplification for 2 turns, only to bull favored allies, but this would potentially negate the need to build them in a vigor set. My struggle with stuff like this is honestly, you don't always run all of your bowl people together, and at one point you might be running Lot or Brennan or some of these folks in a different team, and if you've built them without vigor and all of a sudden they don't function the way they're supposed to, I know you can build a second set on put it on them, but it's kind of a clunky process, especially not being able to duplicate the gear they're already wearing. And then also you're just switching between it. You got to remember every time where you're trying to go do that. So it's just kind of, I would like this amplification to be across the board where it just gives you more opportunities not to have to do vigor on your team. But it's a step in the right direction. And then on her 3rd passive, we do have a cooldown here, so she's going to do this every 2 turns. After an ally attacks all enemies 2 times, does some damage, and each a point of effect accuracy increases damage by 1.2%. So she's actually going to get more damage coming out of her effect accuracy than she is her attack. So that's something to keep in mind when building her. And she looks like she's going to be putting up the recovery disruption debuff. So you're probably going to want to be able to have that going on with some high effect accuracy. She also has a 100% chance for the last hit to increase the duration of each target's recovery disruption by 1 turn. And so again, further extending that recovery disruption. And then also 100% independent chance for the last hit to inflict damage taken increase for 2 turns, which is going to be pretty big as well. That's going to help your damage dealers do more damage, as we've found out in Hall of Conquerors. Having these kind of debuffs up are crucial to putting in those high scores. And then last but not least, you got a 100% chance to heal the ally with the lowest HP by 8% of Lagertha's max HP. So probably want to build her with some pretty good HP. This is going to be a single target heal, but a great supplemental heal that's coming in. So we move over to her active skills. It looks like she's going to be starting with her Frost Relic. On her A1, she attacks 1 enemy. Also has a 100% chance to heal the ally with the lowest HP by 8.7%. So that's going to be a pretty solid heal. I think a lot of the A1s going on with heals are actually around 5.7, 5.6%, something like that, if I remember correctly, maybe even 5.2. But yeah, so this is actually going to be one of the healthier A1 heals that you're going to get from a champion. As we move over to her A2, she had a 100% chance to heal each ally 7.5% of Lagertha's max HP. She also has a 100% chance to grant crit rate increase for 2 turns, and each ally, making sure it's not the bull's favor, debuff immunity for 2 turns. So that's going to be similar to what's going on with Anya, except you're coming in with a pretty good size heal there with the 7.5%. And then on her A3, she has a 100% chance to heal each ally 19% of her max HP, and then a chance to grant each ally hit accuracy increase for 2 turns, as well as bull favored allies pierce increase for 1 turn. So that's kind of interesting. And then a 100% chance to increase duration of recovery disruption on each enemy by 1 turn. So we've got no damage here, we've got no damage here, and her A1's probably going to hit pretty soft. So she is entirely a support champion, a healer, and a HP recovery disruptor. So my first thought when looking at Lagertha is I'm not sure where she's supposed to be used in the game. Potentially an arena if you're going up against a really strong Frost Nika that's just topping everybody off in health. But that being said, I think Brennan does a great job countering that with putting up the heal disruptions. There's no extension on him, but he can still do it. So I think that there is a place for her there. I think there's probably stages and levels in the Forbidden Dungeon that would probably speak to her kit where heals are coming in pretty strong. But I do feel like the combination of things she's bringing to the table are kind of interesting with the pretty solid heals with a 19% of her max HP, as well as a smaller heal. A lot of buffs coming from her as well. So I do think that she's a fantastic support champion. I think for Aldry, she's going to be an absolute beast, but I don't know a lot of people that are struggling to get through Aldry. Maybe for the Rift area, she's going to have kind of a better place, but the fact that they're bringing her into this space with this kit tells me that they have some stuff either in the game already with the new update or coming soon that's going to be very heal heavy, and you're going to need something to get through it as far as disrupting those heals. So I do think as a healer and a support champion, she definitely has a lot of potential, so I'm anxious to see how her kit plays out when we actually put it into effect. But at the end of the day, if you have a really strong Nika and you have Brennan, she's kind of doing both of those jobs in one character. Sort of. Like Brennan brings shielding and some other stuff to the table too. So he kind of is a beast of his own. But she's kind of combining those functions, which is kind of cool. Because at the end of the day, it's one character that's doing those 2 functions instead of having to bring in 2. So we're going to go ahead and get her on the account and then see about maxing her out. If we take a look at the events going on, we've got the Lagertha just let you know she's going on with the rate up banner for, I believe, 2 weeks. I haven't confirmed that. That's usually what they do, so I'm assuming it's 2 weeks. In here we have a raid up or a dungeon where we can get extra points by using both favorite allies. And here they all are. You got Lot should be in here as well, but he's apparently not part of the raid up or part of the increased percentage. But you've got Gilroy, Brennan, as well as Gawain over here, then Accolone and Arthur in the rare category. So we'll get in there after we get her on the account and see how far we can press on. On her power-up event, we've got a lot of things going on in here where it is not requiring extra chivalries. So this is more similar to the Brennan event where we're looking to actually max her out. So hopefully I have the all the requirements to get that going on and moving forward. When new champions do come into the game, I do like to max them out because it makes me feel like I'm not falling behind, even though things are moving a little bit slow in King Arthur. But I want to gain on the finish line just so that I have a maxed out account, because I'm getting closer every day, so it's pretty exciting. As we move over to the Chivalry power-up, this is where you're going to get the power-ups for Chivalry. So if you do take her all the way up to Chivalry level 10, you're going to get some pretty good goodies in there. And then a Conquest where we're looking at bringing her into Hall of Conquerors and doing damage over time, getting a certain amount of hearts. All that good jazz. So I'd recommend, if you're going to go for her and you have the resources to do it, get her on your account early, put her on account, get as much of this stuff knocked out as you can, just in case she doesn't really have a place on any of those teams, which often happens when you have low chivalry and a new champion on your account. She may not bring enough to the table with really low chivalries and a new build to actually get you your high scores in Hall of Conqueror, but you don't want to put her in later because it erases your score. So that's kind of frustrating in that space. As we move over to the mission event here, we got Bull Favorite Dungeon going through there. Rewards in here looking, pretty good. Anything where you're going to be doing this anyway to kind of level her up is going to work out pretty good as far as just getting some extra resources on the account just to help you press along. So as we move over to Harrison's Watermelon event, it resets once per day, and you have the opportunity to earn 30 of, I'm assuming, the big watermelons, even though it's a quarter, and then 1,000 of the little slices. And then you can go over to the event shop, and it looks like there's some goodies in there, some stamina if you want to press your account along. You also have some summons for relics. Probably pick up those special summons. If you have 25 of them, it's actually pretty good. And then also these guys are not going to be bad either. But it looks like most of these watermelons are coming in various areas of the game. So as long as you're playing the game, you're probably going to max this out every day. I haven't even really been trying to seek these out. I've just been doing the daily activities to knock out my daily chores, and I've almost got almost half of it done. So my guess is with this other 700 stamina, probably going to get this knocked out. But it's just something to keep in mind on a daily basis, getting these guys on the account. One thing I will say is after reset, I always feel like there's so much to do in the game. And then like that week before reset, I feel like there's almost nothing to do in the game. I feel like potentially spreading some of this stuff out, where maybe the Lagertha event and Harrison's Watermelon event comes out this week, and then the following week we get content. Whereas instead of 2 weeks, we get content and a character, which I'm not complaining because we've been getting some good updates over the last, I think, 3 cycles. But if they spread the updates out weekly instead of bi-weekly, and that way every week there's something new and fresh to do, you wouldn't run into that lull of the week before reset where there's nothing going on, and then on Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, you come in here and it's just so much all at once. It's kind of like drinking out of a fire hose. It just kind of takes you out, and you're like, I got to be in the game for a few hours that day. There's just a lot going on. But if we move over down, we got 5 more events to talk about. The Relic Power-Up event is going to be doing the engravings. So as far as going through the rift and getting the materials to do engravings on relics. And then we got the event arena again, where you're trying to move up to the top, however high you can get, of 200 players. I actually enjoyed it the first time around. It kind of made me think a little more about teams that I'm building in arena and what's effective against who. I just honestly haven't had a lot of engagement in the normal arena space just because I don't necessarily find it super interesting. It's just not a game mode I've ever really enjoyed. But in this one, it did have kind of a unique spin where you're climbing a ladder and you're trying to get to first place, which I was able to do in the first season, so that was pretty exciting. And then they also brought back the event arena daily missions, so you want to come in here and make sure that you, as you go through the arena, I already did it, so you want to try to complete these every day. It's going to give you a lot of extra resources. And then we have the raid bounty going on with Penvid, which we're actually getting stamina in here. So this might be worthwhile going through that, getting that extra stamina, because it's going to pay for a majority of your progress in here. Plus you're getting all of those the rewards from Pinvid, depending on your account, may or may not be a benefit. How many mythical orbs you need. You're going to need 50 if you don't have them to upgrade Lagertha, but chances are if you've been playing for a while, you might already have those. But if you are new to mid-game, this is actually a great place to spend time anyway. Until you get all of your champions to 6-star, you're going to need those resources, and getting this extra stamina along the way, plus the armament tokens, is not going to be a bad way to go. And then we also have the arena challenge where you're also getting stamina. So a lot of stamina in the game right now. I'm already capped out big time just from collecting the rewards from the Hall of Conquerors. But in here is a great way for you to kind of get a little extra going on your account with all the events going on. On the King Arthur Legends Rise YouTube channel, they do have a video for Lagertha on here. I think it's about 2 minutes, just kind of going through her kit, talking about some of the stuff's going on. So if you wanted to jump into there, find those videos helpful, just wanted to let you know that it is up and running. I always find it more helpful to kind of go through in the game, but in this space you're seeing kind of a lot of places where there's extra heals going on, and just she's finding success in Forbidden Dungeon and Aldry. We're gonna go ahead and put a like on that video. We got 1,300 views on this already in the first 14 hours, so you gotta feel like at least 1,300 people are still playing the game. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get her on the account. So we're gonna jump in here into the raid ups. Actually, let's take a peek at what we got going on. We've got 3 of those, we got 5 of those, 1 of those. Let's grab this, just get us a little warmed up here. In this space, everybody's tokens at this point. It doesn't matter which of the rares. I got them all on Chivalry level 10. We didn't even get a rare though, so that's kind of a bummer. Still have not seen a space where the special relic summons are coming in the game, so I guess they're just expecting us to use crystals for that, which is kind of weird. So we move over to special summons. We got a 10 pull, and we're going to hit pity, so we'll go ahead and get that 11th if we have to. On the wish list, no characters were changed or added to this, so we're still where we are. We'll get this guy going and see how we do. Hopefully it won't take us all the way to pity, but it's kind of fun when it's 1 left, because then you know that you're like, oh, so it is. It's going to take us all the way to pity. That's all right, though. We could use some tokens on the account here, so we'll get these guys dialed in. We got a Rosier, probably my favorite rare character. And then we'll go ahead and summon just 1, because it is guaranteed to be legendary. It's lying to us right now. It's saying it's not, but it's going to be. Right now we get that flex. Perfect. Let's see who we get on the account. Get a Chivalry today, and it is going to be Time as Decided Master. So we got another Caliburn Arthur. So I think that's Chivalry 6 or 7 for my Caliburn Arthur, which is going to be pretty good. He's getting up there. I think my brother actually maxed him out, so that's going to be 7 for me. So I'm a little jealous of his Chivalry level 10 Caliburn Arthur, so I have to catch up to him. On the raid up summons, let's check and see who else is in the pool. We got Lot, Gwaine, Brennan, and Gilroy, so all of our bull favors. So that's going to be pretty cool, just because it's going to kind of line up with her. I would like to get some Gilroys specifically, Brennan as well. These two, I've heard a lot of good things about Lot. I have never built him, and I heard Gwaine can smack, but again, I've never built him, so I don't really know how they really function in those kits too much, just because I haven't used them firsthand. But Brennan and Gilroy, specifically Gilroy with the Storm Relic in the previous Hall of Conquerors, was doing some serious work, and I think he has the potential to find his way into a couple teams in there over time. So getting him kind of dialed in wouldn't be a bad way to go. Again, they are giving us the extra goodies for summoning, which is pretty good. I only have 43 raid ups, so we're going to have to supplement the rest with crystals, so hopefully it gives us credit for that. But in some of the other events that we've done, it does not give you credit except for the actual raid up summons that you pull, which was kind of unfortunate, I thought. But let's go ahead and get started, see if we can get lucky. Our goal here, honestly, is to pull some legendaries along the way, get some Lots, get some Gilroys, whatever the case is, and then get her at pity, because getting those other legendaries along the way does not reset your pity. So at 60, you are guaranteed to get her, but if you do pull her early, then it resets from that point. So another Rosier. It's a great day for Rosier and the World of King Arthur. Hey, we are not going to pity. We're getting lucky right now. It has been a long time on the account since I've seen a multiple legendary pull, and there it is. We get 2 of them. That is awesome. Let's see who we get. At last, the choice you cannot. So this must be her. We got one of our one copy of her right out of the gate. So that was our first legendary pull on our, I think, like 16th. So there's a Lagertha for us there. And let's see on the next one at last. We got 2 of her back to back. So we just got Chivalry level 1 Lagertha. So that kind of puts me in a weird spot because now we have 2 of her on the account. And I was really only expecting to get 1. I think I am going to hold off on the rate up summons until I do a deeper dive on her kit and see how she's going to play on my team. But I do feel like she has a lot of unique aspects. So I'm pretty excited to get playing with her. But now that we have her on the account, plus Chivalry level 1, right out of the gate with only 20 pulls is actually pretty strong. So as we jump over to the champions here, take a look at Arthur's Chivalry. We're getting more defense, more HP. So we'll take that all day long. Just extra stats make them a little more tanky, a little more durable. And then we scroll all the way to the very end. I did go through and actually take all of my champions to 3-star and awaken them to 3-star. I was kind of horsing around with some extra gold, and I wanted to get my overall account power up. So I was kind of working on that. So I'm going to go ahead and start getting her dialed in, 6-star 60, putting some equipment and some gear on her, and then going from there and seeing what I can do with her. But I'll do another video that kind of dives a little deeper on how I built her, as well as where she's functioning. And last but not least, I wanted to get over into the Dimensional Rift. We're sitting in here and just kind of take a peek at how they built this out and what it's looking for. So we noticed right away we've got 5 tickets per day to go in here, which is kind of nice. I always like that they do that instead of making us use stamina in these areas. That way we're not running into struggling for farming stuff we need to grow the account. So this is kind of interesting. It says no elemental corrosion, which I was curious what they were talking about with the elemental corrosion. The only time I've seen corrosion is on the corrosion set where you add dots to when you already laid them down for keepsakes. But this is actually pretty interesting. So in the elemental corrosion, depending on the selected element, the damage from your enemies actually increases over time. So the amount of damage dealt by the monster increases regardless of the element compatibility. So depending on if there is specific elemental corrosion, then the damage they're dealing will increase over time on that specific element. So that's actually going to make beating these levels quickly instead of a tickle fight, because they're going to get more powerful as the fight goes on. So when there's not elemental corrosion, I think it looks like it's just going to increase on everybody regardless of element. So over time, they're just going to go ahead and do more damage on you, which could be pretty rough. So in this space, it did default me into hell mode. I think it's probably based on where I am in the game or what I've unlocked. So it's probably some sort of tiered process that kind of puts you where you're supposed to be. So you're not going to have to beat each stage, it looks like, which is kind of nice. Just going blazing through, normal and hard mode to get to hell would be kind of a little bit cumbersome, I think. So we're going to go ahead and throw in the core 4 here and just see how they do and see if I can get through this first level. So on the core 4, we've got Lancelot. We want to run his A3 on Morgan. Probably should have brought in her Frost or Storm Relic so she's spreading out the damage over time, the damage increase, whether it's defense down or increased damage taken. And then we're going to go to Merlin here and freeze them. Now this is one of those situations where this particular team may not work all that great because it's kind of a slow team. So the more turns they get, they're going to start doing more and more damage. This is actually the level that they had in the video that was highlighting Lagertha. So maybe they're anticipating a lot of heals coming in here. It does not look like they're even going to get a turn. So my guess is this is going to progress in its difficulty as we get further up these stages, or different mechanics might pose different challenges. But as we move over to the next stage, we're unable to use those champions we used in the previous stage, which I think is pretty fun. It kind of forces your hand to work towards other things. We're going to bring in Arthur here. We're going to bring in Brennan. We're going to get some counter strikes with Anya, and then we're going to bring in a healer. Based on that last one, I don't think we're going to need a healer. We'll probably blaze right through this, but that would be a good team structure to bring in depending on how hard this fight gets. Probably go with AoE damage at this point. Probably set this up something like this here later on. You might drop this down and then probably set up an alternating thing for Anya so she can get her counter strikes going with her A2. But I think we're going to kind of blaze right through this. So we have counter strikes for the first 2 turns. Arthur basically knocked everybody out in one hit, and we're moving on. But I'm going to keep pressing on, see if we get that going. I'm also going to get into Lagertha, get her dialed in at least somewhat, and see how she's doing. Probably try to put out another video later today highlighting what I find with actually using her in different areas of the game. But I appreciate you guys hanging out with me all the way to the end. I think this is a pretty great update from Netmarble, so kudos to them. 3 weeks back to back to back. They have added stuff to their game. If they keep this up, 3 weeks. It's every 2 weeks. So 6 weeks back to back to back, they've added things to their game. Which if they keep this up, it's just going to get the depth and flesh the game out. And I think you're going to have a much higher player retention over time. Potentially even bring some of those folks back that have kind of got bored with the game to come in here and see about some new stuff. So kudos to them doing the right things. I appreciate you guys, and I look forward to seeing you next time.